there is a need to define life. Now we all are living now. We are not machines. And the most intimate experience to all of us is our own life. That's the first thing. Before we know this is chair, this is table, this is computer, the first thing we are aware of the fact that I am living and I am life, and other people are also living. So we must define life. Because if you don't define life, the next question is impossible to answer. What is the meaning of life? And what is the purpose of life? And we have to get the answer of this question. Meaning of life, purpose of life. Everybody asks to himself, what is the meaning of my life? What is the purpose of my life? Although a scientist, a non-scientist, a layman, this question is universal. At some point of life, you will ask this question. If he's a human, he'll ask this question. What is the purpose of my life? Why I am living? What I am supposed to do? So all these questions, who is going to give us answer? That's the point. Now in modern age, previously this department, if you want to get these answers, this was with philosophers. They were supposed to give us these answers. What is life? What is the meaning of life? What is my purpose? What I am supposed to do? But in modern age, slowly, philosophy department died out. Science is the age of science. And science, this department is with science. Science is supposed to tell us what is life, how did life come, and what is the meaning and purpose of life. Am I okay? So scientists are supposed to tell. But let's see what scientists are telling us. Do they have this answer? What is life? How did life come? Because if scientists do not tell us, then we think, okay, fine. Until unless scientists will not tell us, we will not accept any answer. They are the authority. Science is authority today. Science is rationality, evidence. And whatever they say, we'll accept it. Okay, fine. Now what they say about life. Let's see. According to science, what is definition of life? How does science define life? Now here is one quoting from a scientist, and he has written a book, The Riddle of Life. He's a biologist, and Heinz Pencil. He admits in his book about the topic of defining life. He says, in my reviews, I will not try to define life, because defining life is a hopeless undertaking. That's what science has tell. That is what science has to tell us now about defining life. They can't define life. Dr. Paul Gutter, he's a biologist. He writes in his book about life. He says, the quest for clear distinction between living and non-living has always been useless. So it is a waste of time to even consider this question further of defining life. They don't have a definition of life. And you know why it's difficult to define life? Because you see, generally we think it's easy to define life. Anything which grows, which reproduces, which talks, that is living, no? It's easy to understand, no? That's what we were taught. But as science advanced, they saw it's not so easy, because crystals also grow. You know crystals? If you put in solution, they grow and they divide. It seems that they're reproducing. Fire. What about fire? You put tree to fire, another tree will catch another. So as if it is reproducing, replicating itself. It's growing. It is metabolizing. It is eating. Fire is eating trees now. So some people... So scientists back then in 19th century, they started saying, yes, it seems fire is living. It seems fire is life. It seems crystals are life. But intuitively everybody knows fire is not life. Is it? So they were thinking there's some problem, you know. although we know fire is not life, but it exhibits all symptoms of life, at least how we define. So they wanted to change the definition of life. Then they changed the definition of life, and they said, okay, life means replication and evolution. That's what is modern definition, no? But then they found that many things do not replicate, many things do not evolve. For example, viruses. If you put a virus in a bottle and you keep it for millions and millions and millions of years, nothing is going to happen. It's almost like dead outside the body. Once it infects, then it starts what life is supposed to do. So whether the virus is living or dead, nobody knows. Spores, there are certain spores which are practically dead. They don't exhibit any life symptoms. So there's again this problem of defining life. If you define life as evolution. And another thing is, the computer scientists, they're very enthusiastic to simulate life in their computers. Okay, good. So they have made a program, Polymath. It's a program name. And that program automatically replicates, evolves, and does everything what life does. But no scientist dare to call it as life at such a stage. Because what is a program? What is computer? Computer program is simple signals, no? That's all. Computer signals. Electrical signals. So nobody knows how to define life. Okay, what about what is life? Does science have answer for this? Well, back in 19th and 20th century, scientists were very enthusiastic. And there's a book by Schrödinger, What is Life? Schrödinger, it's a famous book. You know about that? Yeah. So he says life is molecules. He proposes that there in that book. And science, as it advanced, they were very enthusiastic. Okay, life is cells, proteins, molecules. But there's a scientist, Shizhint Grigori, he's a Russian scientist. And he said, he was doing research in life and chemistry and all this. And after doing all research, at the end of his life, that's one thing, he's doing research on life. And he said, in my search for the secret of life, I ended up with atoms and electrons and molecules which have no life at all. Simple. Somewhere along the line, life has run out through my fingers. So in my old age, I am now retracing my steps. So of course, it's common sense. Dead molecules are not living. What do you make of this statement? Proteins are life. Molecules are life. There's no meaning for that. Intuitively, you know, a bunch of dead molecules cannot be living. And then scientists thought, okay, fine, forget all these things. Maybe genes are life. Now this concept of genes, it's advancing. Selfish genes. You know about this? Richard Dawkins. The selfish genes. So at one point of time, scientists were claiming it's raining genes. Life is bytes and bytes and bytes of information. And one scientist, he said, you give me your genes, I'll tell you who are you. That's the age, the age of genetics. So, but as science advanced, things became more complex than more easy. There were more problems than solutions. There were more mysteries and puzzles than answers. And scientists found by the research that it's not simple to say genes are life. It's much more complex. For example, if you see, so there were many evidences as science advanced that genes are not life. For example, cloning. This book I explained. Cloning, cloning, all of you? You clone, like Dolly? That was the first cloned sheep. So they cloned animals, but they found that cloned animals are not clones. That's what they found. They were thinking, we'll solve the mystery of life and we'll show genes are life, but it turned out something totally different. They're not clones. Clones differed in their behavior, in their function, even in their appearance, and all in their immunities. And they were thought, what's happening? Genes are identical, but organism is different. This means identical genes do not produce identical organisms. So there's some problem there. This means all information is not in genes. There are some other factors which are influencing, no? Otherwise clones has to be similar. So then they found by cloning, by other evidences, by embryology and all these things, they found that it's genes are not life. Genes plus cell plus environment, there are complex interactions between all these things, which produces a phenomena called as life, which is mysterious, which we don't understand. Science doesn't understand. So, this is about life. Science has no answer what is life. Present scenario is, science says, life is an emergent phenomena. Emergence, the complex interactions between genes, cell, environment, and somehow life emerges magically from these complex interactions. But the point is, still, even after this theory, life emerges from complex interactions. What is life is not answered, no? Life emerges from, one day if scientists go into the labs, put cell, genes, environment, and what are other factors, what they know in a test tube, and life comes out. Still the same question remains, what is life? What is the nature of life? Still you don't know. And the interactions are so complex, nobody can, mathematically it is impossible to understand all interactions. It's impossible. That's what scientists say by their research. Even to understand one protein, interaction of one protein, no supercomputers can calculate interactions of one protein. It is said proteins are second secret of life. Proteins are so complex. And you know what? Even if you understand entire structure of proteins, still will not be able to understand the function of proteins. Because proteins' function change according to the environment. They adapt. Proteins adapt. So, according to the environment, proteins has infinite functions. How do you calculate infinite functions? If you can't calculate infinite functions, you don't have mathematical equation for that. If you don't have mathematical equation, you can't understand life. Science is all about mathematics and physics and molecules. So, what is life? Definition of life, science doesn't know. What is life? Science doesn't know. How does life originate? That's the third question about life. You want to know? Now what science tells about that? Do you know the answer? What's the answer for that? Okay. Okay, I'll tell you the answer. No, originate. Now, there are many theories about that, but this is what scientists have to say now about origin of life. You know about Fred Hoyle, astronomer, big astronomer. What he has to say. He says the notion that life originates from dead chemicals and from a primordial organic soup. That's what scientists say. No, there was soup and ocean and somehow life originated from that. He says that it originates from primordial organic soup, the hot ocean at the beginning of creation here on earth is evidently nonsense of high order. That's what Fred Hoyle has to say. I'm not saying.
We have some downstairs.
Yeah, soup you have. Don't drink that soup. Maybe your stomach you get some life. Anyway, he says it's nonsense of high order. And then he also commented after that, if there were a basic principle of matter which somehow develops into life, its existence should easily be demonstrable in our laboratories. But in spite of so much research, there's no evidence for this. I will give the answer to all these things and save the time and trouble and expense of actually doing the experiment. How does life originate? And the answer is, you will find nothing at all. So according to Fred Hoyle, nobody knows how life originates. It's accepted in scientific community. Origin of life is a mystery. So, where are we? We ask science for the question, for the answer, what is life? Because we as human beings, as lay people who are living in the society, we want to know what is the meaning of a life. No? Everybody wants to know or not? or you want to lead a meaningless life. Nobody wants to lead a meaningless life. So, but they don't have answer for life, origin of life, what is life. The next question obviously has no answer. That is why now, presently, if you ask science, what is the meaning of life, they have one answer, meaningless. They don't have answer. Or they'll tell you, please wait. After we have researched and after we have come to conclusion, then we'll tell you. And if you die meanwhile, no problems. No problems. But we'll tell you the answer. No problems for that. Well, you end up wasting your life. A meaningless life is not happy life. No. Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to be satisfied. How you're supposed to be satisfied without no meaning of life? So, where to get the answer? Now, scriptures, they give answer to this question. What is life and what is the origin of life? What is the meaning of life? But scientists are skeptic to take the answer from scriptures because they feel scriptures are dogmatic. Like in Dark Ages, they used to say life is some soul, some mysterious phenomena, some élan vital. You have heard this French word? Homunculus, some kind of small person in the brain. All these things were there. And there were usual answers. And scientists used to say, this is all superstition, mythology. We don't want to accept this, we are scientists. Well, that's okay. That's okay. But the point is, scientists, they didn't do enough research and they didn't read Vedas. Vedas provide a scientific answer. How? Vedas say, see, the point is, what is life? Now, cell plus gene plus other factors. But if you carefully look at this complex, there has to be time in that also, no? Time. Each cell of a body has inbuilt clock. And that is, in scientific term, it is called as, what's that called? Asymptote. You have heard about this word, asymptote? For example, every human being lives for 100 years. After 100 years, our cell will die, all of our cells. Every organ has different timings. For example, the life of blood cells is how much? It's around maybe 72 days, something. There's life for liver cells. There's life for brain cells. After every 7 years, brain cells die and they renew. So every cell has different time period. Now, who is deciding the time?
Who's giving it?
Yeah, I mean to say, who is coding that time, first of all? So clock is not in this clock. We think clock is there, time is there. Time is all over. Time is there within us. We are inbuilt with time. What is time? That's a big mystery in science. Nobody knows. Anybody knows what is time? We accept time. Time is there, but we don't know what's time. And so Vedas says, okay, fine. You have everything, but time has also to be there, distinct from matter. It has to be there, distinct from matter. And then Vedas say there is something called as mind. Mind has to be there in those cells. Because as cells duplicate, as in higher organisms, mind is a reality, no? Everything depends on a complex behavior. There's mind, we think, we behave, we have minds. So mind is a reality. We have to accept that. And then there is soul. Now Veda says there is soul, which is making genes active. A bunch of molecules in cell, how they act and react and activate and deactivate. There has to be some energy there, no? So that source of energy is called as soul. So this answer this Vedic answer is very logical. It seems logical. It is logical and scientific. In fact, science is dogmatic. In one sense, that even after so much research and so much of dogmatic approach that life is matter, life is matter, life is matter, they can't see the other option. Vedic model offers a simple option. Life is not matter. Simple. Simple. So much of research, so much money gone there. Why can't scientists simply accept life is not matter? It's as simple as that. And it solves all problems. It solves all problems. Simple. There's a rule in science. Occam's razor. You have heard this? Simple and elegant. That is truth. That is truth. It solves all problems. Science is putting so much money to prove that mind is not there. Only brain. Brain functions. Mind doesn't exist. It's simple to accept mind is there because Veda says you can't prove something which cannot be proved. You cannot do that. And science has tried to prove that life is matter, and after 300, 400 years of research, they have ended up nowhere. More mysteries than solution. So Vedic model has to offer a simple model. There is matter, there is mind, and there is soul. This is the Vedic model. And Vedas are not superstition. Vedas, this is common sense observation. And Vedas also talk about cell, embryology, many scientific concepts. Even after explaining so much about embryology, so much about cell, so much about medicine, still Vedic scientists or rishis, they came to this conclusion that life must be distinct from matter. It's not matter. So that's what scriptures has to offer, a Vedic model. You have life, you have matter, you have mind, you have time, and you have a soul. Now it helps us, this model helps us to find the meaning of life. What is the meaning of life then? Meaning of life is to understand you are not this matter. That's the purpose of life. Is to understand this. We are not this matter. Meaning of life is not to find happiness outside, but to find happiness within. That's what Krishna says. Because if you consider yourself as matter, as scientists propose, then you will find happiness in matter, no? We are matter, we are body, so let's find happiness in body. Whatever is connected to body, we'll find happiness there. So you're finding happiness in your cell phones, in whatever things you have. But the problem is you're not matter. So you're trying to find happiness where you don't belong. And that will create a problem, no? Suppose if I leave you in jungle, and in jungle if you're lost, and if I give you your Apple iPhone i6, and I give you everything, whatever you want, still you'll be happy? You're lost, no? You'll say first tell me what are my coordinates, where I am. I want to know what's my position. I can't feel satisfied. So this is how we are living. We're all living a meaningless life. We don't know our coordinates. So in spite of having everything, we are not satisfied. And the problem is, we are not told that life is not matter. Rather, we are told life is matter. We're trying to happiness somewhere where we don't belong. That's why Bhagavad Gita says, those whose happiness is within, they are liberated. They are most satisfied. Because their happiness is not dependent on something. Our happiness is dependent, no? On things. When things get lost, we'll become unhappy. Simple. It's so simple logic. It's not a big science. It's not a big experiment. If your happiness is due to your car, if your car gets lost, you get unhappy, frustrated. If something happens to your body, my God, you get unhappy, no? Because we identify with this body, with this car. So the meaning of life is to understand we are not this matter. We are soul. And if soul is there, it has to have got some origin. So Vedas take another step. They say, origin of soul is God. Super soul. So the meaning of life is to connect ourselves with that super soul. Our relationship with that super soul. And once you are done, you are satisfied. Simple. This is what is the Vedic model. So there is scientific model which is meaningless, which has no answers. There is Vedic model which has some answers. You can research on that. No problems. You can think about that at least. You should not reject that model. And that model is offering you not only some understanding, but also satisfaction, peace and happiness. You have to choose one. It's always a choice, no? It's always a choice at the end of the day. You have to choose one. So, Hare Krishna, thank you. That's what I want to tell you. Any questions? It's finished now. Yeah.
I was wondering, like, you give this very lucid explanation of how science is failed to explain life and how there are so many questions which Veda answers. And you say, I would say these questions or these ideas pertain to philosophy of science, and there are many conferences and research papers in this area. So when we have this explanation available, are other people or like devotees trying to publish papers and like show to the scientists, because this is a very lucid explanation.
Yeah, to say explanations. You know what? Sometimes truth is so simple to be really true. It's difficult to accept truth which is very simple. We are tuned to accept that those things are true which are complex. We're tuned by our training. This truth is very simple. So yes, people are trying to publish papers, but academics will not allow publish papers like that, to do research and do so many things. You can do that. Somebody can do that. Not a bad thing. There have been papers, by the way. Some Chinese scientist, he published papers and he approached this whole subject logically, and he showed that life is not matter. And there is alternative Vedic model. There have been papers, some of them. Who was going to accept it? That's the point. So, anything else? So what's the meaning of life? Meaning of life is to understand that I am not matter. That's all. We are beyond matter. We are beyond body. We are soul. And once you understand this, then you have to realize this. Realization is different, no? So just like if you have pain in your body, do you have any doubt any time in your life that you have pain in your body? You have pain, no? You know you have pain. If entire world comes and convinces you, actually you're not feeling pain. And you have a pain, you have appendicitis. You're shouting, please help me. And all doctors are convincing you, see, you don't have pain. Are you going to get convinced? Absolutely impossible. I have pain, All you doctors, get out. I'm having pain. No, that time you will respond like that. So after you get this knowledge, I am not this matter, I am soul. Then comes practice of spirituality. To realize that point. Now realization is you're convinced, then you can see for yourself, within yourself, that you are not body or soul. You're different from it. Just like you're convinced, I'm not this shirt. To say, so nobody gets confused, that you are shirt. Maybe in night, sometimes you go and you get confused. Oh my God, there's some realization, I'm this shirt. I should not remove this, I'm this. Doesn't happen. We are convinced we are not this shirt, no. We're convinced, no? Why you're convinced? You're convinced because you know you're not this shirt, no? If entire world wants to convince you are this shirt, will you get convinced?
No.
If they give you scientific evidence, you're this shirt? Absolutely not. I know this fact, no? So, yeah.
I was just wondering, because you are hearing now, like New Age people will say, like, oh, I'm you, you are me, and I'm that tree over there, and I am this shirt. So...
They say...
yeah, there's just... It's not logical. It's just this thing of, like, we are all one. Yeah, it's super sentimental. So, is there a way to, like, kind of get that, bash that? Because it's just really, it's very sentimental.
Yeah, there's a way, Just call them, tell them have khichdi, some prasad, cool down, then we'll talk. There has to be some logic there,
Well, there's some truth to that, isn't there? Just Brahman realization, like when you realize that, but it's not a complete realization, though. It's not a complete, like, our individuality, It's sort of like...
Yeah, there are many kind of realizations, but all realizations include this basic point, you're not matter. At least you have to go beyond this body.
Right. I'm saying, like, when you're saying, like, I'm the people that say I'm a tree.
People, yeah.
It's like they're kind of realizing they're not anything.
Well, it is not. Yeah, we cannot call it as realization. It's sentiment. It's just speaking something. Realization is people who have practiced.
Real experience, though.
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea. They can have some experience like that.
No, I'm not saying that I agree with it. I'm saying that.
But you know what? Without practice, there's no value for an experience. No. First, we have to practice something. I mean to say, if I go to somebody, please treat me. He has to be practicing medical for 5 years. Then we can trust him. That fine, you're a doctor, certified. I'll get treatment from you. If somebody on road, he comes, I have realized, what is medicine, and you have got a problem, I'll operate you. I have a realization. We are not going to go to him. Definitely not. He'll kill us. So this is the point. Without practice, that's an
interesting example, because at some point someone did do that. They're like, okay, we're going to open your chest up and cut your heart out. We're going to put a different heart in there. We've never done it before.
Who?
There was a first heart surgery sometime in history. Where
people say all these things. People used to hold and, but it didn't happen like that. It's not like that. Because
I was talking about in modern times. There was one surgery where they cut a guy's heart out and put a new heart in. And
really?
The first time they did it.
Come on, heart transplant you can't do. It's no science can do now. It's beyond science. There's nothing called a heart transplant. Even liver transplant you can't do. Because if you put somebody else's heart, then the body will reject it. So there is autoimmune reactions.
Right.
It's not possible. Science has not reached to that point.
Really?
Yeah. But by profession I'm a doctor. I know that it's impossible. It's impossible. Because if you put somebody else's heart, there is something called immunity. Right. So immunity will reject it.
So you're saying there's never been that surgery doesn't exist?
No, that doesn't.
It's like
we
made it up?
No, yeah, of course. It's all hyped by media. We can transplant heart, we can transplant liver. Nothing like that. Nothing is happening like that. You can't even.
I knew there's immunity. I thought that it worked for maybe a few years.
No, it doesn't work even for a second.
Really?
You put this autoimmune reaction, there's sepsis all over body, patient dies by shock.
So that's all media?
And that's all media. Media is that's Dominator.
Right.
Dominator, movies, Hollywood, and we feel like that's truth, but that's not truth.
Okay.
It's not.
Well, that was a bad example then.
Yeah.
It was I'm talking about surgery that does work that's really extreme. I mean, they do go in and do some crazy stuff where they had to do some practice the first time, and nobody's done it before. At some point they have to
So then, what's the point? I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no idea. Yeah, somebody can do something. I have no idea what. So many people are doing so many things now.
Right.
Yeah. There was people like to torture also.
Oh, right.
There's a phenomena. People like to torture. So that point is, many people like to do so many crazy things. What's the value for that? Yeah.
A question. So you were talking about.
Oh, you want to continue that question or what?
I had a second one, but it's not in really.
Okay, fine.
Was Dolly this whole thing that was sort of making a twin from a
Yeah, cloning. Yeah, from a cell.
So it'd be kind of like a twin, but.
Yeah, twin.
It would have been, but then it turned out to not really be identical.
Yeah, it's not. It turned out not to be identical.
So the Vedic would say it's because of their soul.
Yeah, because there are other factors. Yeah.
She died early also. Isn't it?
Yeah, she died early. Their Dolly died early. It's difficult. What they thought it came out something different, completely different. That's happening with physics also. What they thought it's coming out completely different. They thought at one point we have understood universe, but now 95% of universe you can't understand. It's dark energy, dark matter, black holes. Everything is dark. Everything is dark and black. You can't understand.
That's what
that means you don't understand.
Black and dark.
Yeah, you can't understand all those things. So point is, science is limited now. Limited in knowledge, limited in its approach. And that is why it can't offer any meaning. It has not ended its journey for truth. And we are suffering because of that. Not they. They are doing their job. They're having fun, exciting. What about ordinary people? They don't have any definition of life, no meaning of life, and we are suffering. What to do? We are not happy, we are not satisfied. Yeah.
So you mentioned a bit about time and how they don't even have a definition.
Yeah, scientists do not have definition of time. Scientists do not know what is time. They do not know what is fire. We don't know what's fire.
I know in Bhakti Gita it talks on time.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, I don't remember the definition of time.
Yeah, about Gita.
In the Gita.
Gita says, time I am.
Yeah, destroyer.
Yeah, time is manifestation of God in this world.
Okay, so it's just simple as that.
Yeah, nobody can understand time. Time is a manifestation of God. That's all. It's mysterious. It's very mysterious. So, that's okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for listening. All of you. So now what's the next plan?